New York City's mayoral race, viewers, is entering its final stretch. With early voting now ended already and residents among some 5 million registered voters set to cast their all-important ballots on the 4th of November to choose the city's next leader. That's correct. Zoran Mamdani, the Uganda-born Indian origin or Indian descent democratic socialist, still holds a 14% lead and could soon make history as New York City's first Muslim mayor. But his campaign has been mired in controversy, from racist attacks to legal troubles. This next report breaks down all the details.
New York is not for sale.
The fight for the Big Apple, New York City, US's financial hub, is on, with the power to reshape the city's political identity forever. On November 4th, Americans could make history, handing power to a democratic socialist Muslim mayor for the first time. Zoran Mamdani, the 34-year-old Uganda-born state assemblyman, son of a renowned Indian filmmaker Meera Nair, is at the center of this historic race, one filled with racist attacks, controversy, and bigotry. From US President Donald Trump calling Mamdani a commie lunatic, to MAGA supporters attacking Mamdani for eating with his hands, a practice for over 1/3 of the world's population, the Democrat frontrunner has been engulfed in one row after another. In fact, Mamdani found himself in the midst of controversy after saying his aunt stopped riding the subway after the September 11 attack. He later responded by saying that he was referring to a distant relative, not his legal aunt, explaining the discrepancy. Furthermore, he even faces legal scrutiny over accepting illegal contributions from foreign donors. The Indian origin state assemblyman has also faced trouble from Indian American and Hindu diaspora organizations over his comments against Hindus, slamming Prime Minister Modi over the 2002 Gujarat riots and more. Many have even accused Mamdani of exploiting affirmative action to try to gain college admission, misusing his African American racial heritage. Yet, Mamdani has not remained quiet.
Super PAC ads imply that I am a terrorist or mock the way I eat. Push polls that ask New Yorkers questions like whether they support invented proposals to make halal food mandatory, or political cartoons that represent my candidacy as an airplane hurtling towards the World Trade Center. But I do not want to use this moment to speak to them any further. I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt, who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Standing in his path are two seasoned opponents, Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Silva, both of whom have launched ad campaigns attacking Mamdani. Yet, the Democratic frontrunner has remained firm on his platform to make New York affordable again by taxing the rich, raising minimum wage, and more. A victory for Camp Mamdani, who has been endorsed by big Democrat faces including former President Obama, Bernie Sanders, Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, among others, could mark a watershed moment for Democratic Party and America. The big question that now remains, what kind of future will New York City choose for itself? Dishha Bagchi for NDTV.
Oh, in the UK, viewers, the sole survivor of a plane crash that killed 260 people said he still cannot explain what had happened, adding the ordeal, including losing his younger brother in the accident, had in fact left him mentally broken and housebound. Ramesh had been on board the infamous Air India Boeing 787 Dreamliner bound for London, which crashed in the northwestern city of Ahmedabad in India on the 12th of June, killing 260 people, including 19 on the ground, in one of India's first aviation disasters, needless to say. Now, he was the sole survivor, viewers. In an interview with Sky News, Vishwakumar Ramesh has said that the loss of his brother Ajay had in fact also impacted him deeply. Listen in.
What happened? When did you first realise something was wrong?
It's quite difficult to explain myself.
Do you remember it?
It's very hard.
You must not want to remember
Yeah.
it, right? Do you try not to remember it?
It's very hard to explain that. I can't.
So you took off, and then quite quickly, the plane, it stopped? It seemed to hang in the air. Is that right?
What can? Everything is changing in it after this crash. Like me, mentally, physically, also my family is
Yeah.
all family broke down.
How's it been for your family?
All broke down and still.
I'm so sorry that you didn't ask for this. You were the victim. And it's had this impact on you and the people you love. It's very difficult. Do you feel physical pain?
Yes,
What pain do you feel?
my knee, shoulder, and back, and some burning in right left arm, but still pain in my body.
Do you leave the house? Do you go out? Do you do things?
Just sit on my bed and all day.
Do you watch TV? Is that what you do?
I don't like anything watching. I just think about my brother and just
The brother who
Ajay.
died.
He's my younger brother.
What was he like?
He's for me. He's everything for me. He's giving me backbone. He give me all the time. He support me. I still am not believe that is not more.
An Indian origin driver who crashed his semi-truck killing 3 people in California last month was not driving while intoxicated, contrary to initial reports, but the case still remains grossly neglected homicide, US authorities have said. 21-year-old Jashanpreet Singh of Yuba City was arrested on the 21st of October, viewers, under suspicion of driving under the influence, or DUI, as it's called, and he was charged with vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence as well as DUI causing injury in the multi-vehicle crash. 3 people, for perspective, were killed and several others seriously injured in the crash in California's Ontario. 2 separate US courts have ordered the immigration officials to halt the deportation of Indian origin man from Pennsylvania, Subramanyam Subu Vedam. Now, Vedam spent over 4 decades in prison on a murder charge that was recently overturned. Furthermore, Subramanyam, 64-year-old Subu, is currently being held at a facility in Alexandria, Louisiana, which is a short-term facility also equipped with an airstrip for deportation purposes. Vedam's relatives, viewers, meanwhile, say that he was transferred to the facility from central Pennsylvania last week. Now, Subu has been serving a life sentence in a murder case of his friend's death back in the 1980 before his conviction was finally overturned only this year. He was released from the prison on the 3rd of October after spending more than 43 years in prison behind bars, but was immediately taken into immigration custody by United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Indian-American attorney Neil Katyal will appear before the US Supreme Court on Wednesday, that's tomorrow, to argue a case that President Donald Trump has described as one of the most important in the history of the country. Now, the outcome, viewers, could redefine the very limits of presidential authority over trade and tariffs in the United States from coast to coast in this case. Now, this case raises questions also about whether Trump exceeded his powers under the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or the IEEPA. Now, it's a law that permits presidents to take action during national emergencies related to foreign affairs. A ruling against him could very well restrict one of his most frequently used tools, imposing tariffs to influence foreign policy. Sudanese fleeing from the fighting between the country's military and paramilitary forces have described their harrowing experiences after escaping from a city under siege for a year and a half. That's correct, viewers. The Rapid Support Forces, a paramilitary group fighting the Sudanese troops, have captured Al-Fasher after besieging it for 18 long months, a year and a half at that. Thousands are fleeing Al-Fasher, have been trickling into towns near the city, including Tavila, Melit and Tavisha in recent days. Aid groups, meanwhile, worry about the fate of tens of thousands more who are either still trapped in the city or have disappeared as they try to flee. Sudanese arriving in Tavila, meanwhile, have recounted running out of food during the RSF siege and scrounging for animal fodder to eat. We get you more.
حرقتنا والله لقينا الدامرك ما شاء الله بلاد دقونا حانونا شالنا حاجاتنا اللي عندنا حاجه ما خلينا يا هؤلاء اللي ابونا ذاته ما لقينا ما لا الليله وانا ارفع حي ولا ميت ما لقينا ما لقينا جثث لقينا جثث الله وبعدين بدقوا بيشيلوا منهم حاجاتهم وبعدين لقيناهم جثث مجدين ميتين يعني كثير حاصل حاجات كثير يعني.
At least 24 people were killed after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake rocked northern Afghanistan early on Monday. The quake also triggered landslides, destroyed homes, and blocked key transport routes in the northwestern part of the country. Now, with the epicenter located in the Kurd area in the Samangan province, the tremor hit at the depth of 28 kilometers and caused severe damage across 5 provinces, as you see there on your screen right now. Now, viewers, the mountainous areas in the Samangan province are located between the capital city of Kabul and the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif, are one of the hardest hit regions where most houses, in fact, are low-rise mud brick structures. A number of these homes were destroyed or severely damaged, leaving many residents buried under the rubble. Listen in.
صوت یک بدن پیش از زیادتر وقت دقیق معلومات داریم صوت چند بجه یک تکانی بسیار شدید داد خوبی بیرون کنه بود هر صبح بالا من شهید شد و بلدور هم سیبه زوری جو دابه میشه روزی جلوی شهید شد خالو کلیش هم تو 6 تا هیچ آقاتی نمونده ما تو زندگی کنیم چهارش هم توانش هم نداریم که دوگشت جور کنیم.
President Nicolas Maduro on Monday said Venezuela and Russia maintain ongoing military cooperation despite the growing tension between Caracas and Washington over the deployment of U.S. warships in the waters of the South American nation. The governments of Venezuela and Russia, meanwhile, have signed numerous cooperation agreements on trade, energy, education, military affairs, drug enforcement, and even security, including an intelligence and counterintelligence pact. Now, like his predecessor, very much like the late President Hugo Chavez, Maduro has also forged a very close relationship with Moscow and Vladimir Putin. Here's Maduro for you.
El gobierno de Rusia para todos los temas, porque tenemos muchos temas en desarrollo. Te lo decía ahora caminando. Correcto. Ahora ha sido muy fuerte la noticia esta semana, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo, lunes, de la cooperación militar, pero que es natural, pues tenemos 25 años de cooperación militar.
A fast-moving typhoon barreled across the center of Philippines Monday after slamming shores overnight from the Pacific, leaving at least one person dead and with flooding and power outages right there on your screens as you see them, displacing tens of thousands of people. US Typhoon Kalmegi was blowing over the city of Sagay in central Negros Occidental province mid-morning with sustained winds of up to 150 kilometers or 93 miles per hour and gusts of up to 185 kilometers an hour or 115 meters per hour after making landfall around midnight in the town of Silago in the eastern province of southern Leyte. Kalmyagi, meanwhile, the 20th tropical cyclone to batter the Philippines this year itself, has been moving northward at 25 kilometers an hour wind speed, or 16 meters an hour. It was also forecast to, in fact, start shifting away from the western section of the archipelago into the South China Sea later on Tuesday. Stay with the region, where US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth shook hands with his Korean counterpart in Seoul on Tuesday before an annual security cooperation meeting. Now, the pair is expected to discuss and coordinate on key military policies, also including nuclear-powered submarines, the transfer of wartime operational control and defense spending. Now, his visit comes just days after Trump traveled to South Korea for meetings with world leaders, including South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Chinese President Xi Jinping. This was, of course, on the sidelines of this year's Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Gyeongju. And viewers, shortly before world leaders gathered for the Gyeongju Apex Summit, I personally was there in the ancient Shilla Kingdom city, capturing the city's blend of ancient heritage and global diplomacy. Take a look at this ground report on Gyeongju's iconic and ancient Bulguksa temple. In South Korea's ancient capital of Gyeongju, nestled between forested hills, Bulguksa temple rises like a memory carved in stone. A spiritual and architectural marvel tracing back to the year 528. Commissioned by kings and rebuilt by monks, Bulguksa evolved through centuries of devotion and disaster. Most notably, Prime Minister Kim Dae-seong's 8th century reconstruction sought to honor his late parents, turning Buddhist ideals into timeless stone. Bulguksa temple was destroyed by the Japanese back in 1593. It was turned to ashes, literally. But here we are again, here in 2025. From dust to dust and ashes to ashes, it was rebuilt brick by brick, mortar by mortar by a nation, unwilling to give up, unwilling to forget and let go of its history. Be its 40 partial repairs in the 17th century or the full-scale restorations of the 20th and the 21st, Bulguksa has become a living museum of Korean faith, endurance, and artistry.
Really like it. Like yesterday, we spent all day in the town and we went to the palace. There were so many tourists, and coming here is like very peaceful, and we enjoying so far.
About 1,000 years ago, during about 1,000 years. So this area was a capital city of the Vatican. So especially this area was built in 751 by Minister Pete Hegseth Little Calvin of presented right.
And today, the Bulguksa temple is more than just an historical site. It's the cradle of South Korea's Buddhism and a world-revered UNESCO heritage site. Each restoration from the 1960s to the 2010s brought back not just architecture, but memory. A past preserved not in museums, but in motion.